I can't.
There we go.
In conclusion, that I am the decisive moment. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. And that's from a German philosopher, Johann Goethe. So basically what he's saying is, like, you have a choice about how you react to your situation, and a lot of it, has to do with your thoughts, and that could affect, your entire outlook on your day, depending on how you process what's going on around you. And I thought that was a really apt quote, because with everything that's going on, it's easy to feel kind of down and a little bit depressed about how long it's taking for things to get back to normal. But if we focus on the things we can do something about, we can at least influence the way we process our situation, even if we can't change everything about it.
Very good.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Good. Okay. So the timing of the speech actually coincided with research that I was already doing for trying to find affordable video conferencing software equipment. And to give you some background, this is actually the first time that I've researched this type of equipment. Not because I've never had online meetings before, I have, but in the past, I was either doing it for work, just using GoToMeeting to share my screen so that I could train new users on the software that our company made. And even then, I wasn't even on screen. I was just sharing the screen to show the software. Or the other reason that I was using it was just every once in a blue moon, I would use the video chat to talk to a friend that lived far away. But like I said, those were few and far between. So recently, as I'm sure everyone else's situation reflects, online meetings, the prevalence of them has increased quite a bit. And I thought about it, and if I counted every online meeting that I had scheduled during the week, not that I necessarily attended, but I had scheduled, I would have online meetings 6 days a week. So the need for me to upgrade my online meeting experience and the equipment behind it became obvious pretty quickly once this whole lockdown situation started. So I started to look into the different types of equipment that there are, things like lighting, webcams, microphones, pretty much the whole gamut of different equipment for this type of meeting. And I also considered the shortcomings that I saw in my own meetings. Like I'm looking at myself right now because I'm spotlighted, and one of the biggest things that I noticed is the lighting. The lighting in my room is really bad. I mean, in particular for the position where my laptop sits, because all the light is behind me. My computer desk is against a wall, so I can't really do much with a wall in front of me as far as lighting is concerned. And this is actually where I would sit to do work, because this is my workspace. Usually in our meetings, you already noticed this at the beginning, some of you mentioned it, I usually would be sitting in that chair by my fireplace, but that's not where I work. So this is where I would be actually positioned during a meeting for work. So the first thing that I looked at was lighting, and I'd like to actually, if I could I share my screen? Because what I'd like to do is show you some of the the searches and the list that I've looked at. So you can get an idea of the method that I used and the things that I searched for and the types of web pages that were helpful for me. If we can't share my screen, that's fine. I actually put a link to all of the pages that I visited and researched. I actually put that in the chat already, so you can see that titled "Affordable Video Conferencing Links."
You can share the screen now.
Okay, so here we go. So, for instance, when I started out, I was just typing something into Google like affordable webcam equipment. So when you do that, you come up with at the top you'll see search shop results for shopping, and then if you scroll down, you'll see list. When you type any kind of equipment like this, when you're looking for that stuff, people love to make lists. Best webcams for 2020 or best external microphones for 2020. People love making lists like that. So I would recommend looking at those lists and comparing the things that are included on them. A lot of times you'll see the same equipment. And here's an example of a site that I looked at that I liked because it actually had webcams and microphones and headsets. So it had a lot of things on one page. And one of the things that I noticed here in the webcams was Logitech has a lot of good equipment. And this one in particular, the C922, if I look at it on Logitech's website, which I also like to do, I like to go to the manufacturer's website to get some more information, specifications and pictures and everything. So one of the things that it mentions is that it has capability of enhancing your lighting. If you're in a dimly lit environment, it can actually enhance the light to solve that problem. And another thing was that it actually has 2 microphones built in, which usually for a webcam that's internal, you'll only have one. So I like this because it has 2 microphones. And then another thing that it has that's pretty cool, it's actually not mentioned on Logitech's website, but on this list page that I showed earlier, it says that it has a dynamic background replacement feature, which is nice because another one of my issues was my background. You'll see I've got a bookshelf. That's cool. That's professional, right? But my bed behind me, that's not cool. That's not professional. So all of these things actually solve a handful of my problems together without actually having to spend extra money individually on different things. So this is certainly something that I'm actually going to buy once it becomes available. That's an issue right now. So one thing that you could do is actually go to a website like Best Buy and sign up for their notification, and they'll notify you when something's available, even though it might be out of stock right now. So that's just a little bit of a taste of what I've been researching, and hopefully it might even be helpful to you guys if you're looking for some of the same types of equipment. But that, I mean, I only really touched on the webcam for time's sake, but there's a lot of other things out there. My advice would be to just look at the list and the people who have already done the legwork of reviewing things for you. So thank you.
I first learned about Julia Child when I watched the movie Julie and Julia. I instantly connected with her as a person when I learned that she didn't have it all together and she went through a search to find her purpose, which ultimately led to her passion for fine cuisine. Society in many different countries and states has expectations about timelines for when things should happen in your life, whether it's marriage or career or some other issue. For instance, in the United States, it's often expected that high school graduates attend college straight out of high school. However, you don't necessarily need to follow these imposed guidelines by society to have a successful life. Take a leaf from Julia Child's life choices and learn how to find your own passion. 1, find your personal tribe or people that share your interests or passions. And 2, never give up on your passion. Julia Child was the daughter of wealthy parents, and initially she had no clue about her life direction when she signed up for her application at Smith College. She wrote that she would prefer marriage, so she had no career goal at all. And after college, she was at a loose end when others were pursuing careers or college. So she moved to New York for a while, and she worked as an administrative assistant at a company called W&J Sloan Co. And it was a home decor company in New York City. But she found that she didn't really like that kind of work. Later on, when her mother died, she returned home to Pasadena, California to keep house for her father and played the socially accepted role of a debutante, where she played a lot of golf, and she also joined the Junior League, which is a philanthropical organization. It's very much like a college sorority. And she had a hard time finding her direction. In fact, she didn't really start to find her direction until she was almost 30. And she met her husband, Paul Child, and he introduced her to fine cuisine. And his brother was married to someone who was also good at cooking. So she got some free lessons there. In particular, their move to Paris, France was a catalyst for her interest in cookery because she got to take a firsthand experience with the French cooking, and it developed an appreciation for French cuisine that motivated her to study at the Cordon Bleu cooking school, where she met her 2 kindred spirits, Louisette Bertol and Simone Beck. These 2 ladies encouraged her to translate their cookbook, which was written in French, to English so that Americans could understand French cuisine, which was pretty much unheard of at that time. These 3 friends, they collaborated on this book, sharing recipes and also some disagreements about how the book should be written. And it went on to become the bestseller, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, in 1961. She also cultivated some friendships with people who had connections to the publishing industry before her book was published. And her most noted friendship in the publishing industry was Avis DeVoto, who had connections to Houghton Mifflin. However, her book was not published by the first publisher she submitted it to. In fact, it was rejected by Houghton Mifflin, but she continued to work on the book, testing out new recipes and continuing to correspond with her friends. She didn't give up despite that rejection, and it took several years for her book to get published by Knopf, which was another publishing company. And also, she used her ingenuity and her creativity to market this book when Knopf was reluctant to market it for her. So she arranged on her own cross-country book tours with live cooking demonstrations to generate interest in her book, as well as TV appearances on TV shows such as The Today Show. And this launched her French Chef TV series later on. So in conclusion, if you are trying to find your passion, you don't necessarily need to follow that self-imposed timeline that society tries to push on you. You can learn from Julia Child's example and find your tribe of like-minded individuals who can encourage you on your path towards finding your passion. And also, the second most important part is never to give up on your passion once you find out what that is. Thank you.
Thank you. As some of you may remember, I have a condition known as hydrocephalus, or water on the brain. When I was 18 years old, after recovering from one of my many surgeries, one of the staff members, known as a child life specialist, came to my room and asked me if I would like to join her in the teen room in the hospital. When I walked down, I was wondering what she was going to share with me. She introduced me to, she took me over to a computer and she said, "Have a seat." So I sat, and she introduced me to a website known as Starbright World. This great program back in 2003, when I joined, had many children and teens that were just like me at that time, with serious illnesses and conditions from all over the country. I was very excited, yet a little nervous, because I never talked to other people on a computer like that before. But within a couple of months, I quickly became comfortable, and from then on, the staff at Starbright World saw my leadership skills, and that's when they asked me to become a community leader. A community leader helps leads discussions and help pick topics, among other things like excuse me, like contests and other types of things. This was one of my favorite things to do when I got to talk with all my friends that were just like me, and getting to use leadership and developing leadership skills that I never knew that I had. Unfortunately, a couple years later, when I was 21, I aged out of the program. But because of the amount of leadership and being able to share with what my skills and being with everyone, I was asked to come back as the program's first ever online volunteer. This was exciting for me because I got to help lead chats in the chat room as a chat host. I got to help share, or I got to help do other contests and help keep things on track when in the chat room. it was something I will never forget. And because of all of my involvement, being in this program for so many years, in 2009, I was awarded within this international organization at that point with the Volunteer of the Year award. This the organization is based out in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend when they gave the award, but they sent it to me, and I took a picture of it for them, and they were very excited, just like I was. I was very honored because it was something I love to do. Now, because of these skills that I have learned as a leader within this online organization, I have now transitioned to using these skills for Special Olympics as part of our new virtual movement that is online as well. I'm known as a athlete leader within Special Olympics, and I get to use these skills that I've learned both in Starbright World and through Special Olympics to help lead chats and teach courses to my fellow athletes, just just like I did in different ways with my fellow users on Starbright World. The COVID may be keeping all of us from being able to meet in person, but with these leadership skills that I learned with Starbright World, I am so happy that I'm able to now share these online with my fellow athletes in Special Olympics. I can't wait to keep to help my fellow athletes in the future. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is the table topic session, which is the most exciting part of the meeting. For the sake of our guests, I would introduce what is table topics. It's a session that you can practice your unprepared speech. What we usually do is the table topic master, which is me today, will actually give you a question, and you will answer that question for 1 to 2 minutes. However, I love being creative. So instead of giving you a question, I will give you 2 random words, and you will tell a story with using those 2 words. You can tell your own story, you can tell someone else's story, and it doesn't really have to be true. All you need to do is practice your speech for 2 minutes. Well, maximum 2 minutes. So if you want to participate, just type in me on the chat box or shout out me by unmuting yourself. And if I don't hear or see any me's for 3 seconds, you will be voluntold to participate, especially those who don't have roles. So anyone can participate, including our guests. If anyone wants to participate, going once, going twice. Okay, we have Beth. Beth would be the first speaker today. Beth, Your two random words are dog and sandwich. I will repeat again. Tell me a story about using words dog and sandwich.
Wow, Unwoo, and all of my friends and guests. It's interesting that I was asked about dog and sandwich because one of my favorite sandwiches is a hot dog. It is a sandwich and it is a dog. And this is the first time I've ever done a table topic and have been absolutely stumped as to where I was going to go next. Dog and sandwich. Well, I don't like dogs. I actually don't like hot dogs either, believe it or not. I like cats, and I don't eat sandwiches because they have too many carbohydrates in the bread. So I've gotten into the habit when I'm offered a sandwich, especially when I'm at work and we have catered lunches, of taking the sandwich and pulling off pulling the bread out, taking the top bread off, pulling all the middle part out onto a separate plate, and then throwing away the rest. So I eat all the middle part of the sandwich, and I usually help myself to two because one middle part without the bread is usually not enough. So no sandwiches in my life because I'm trying to cut the carbs, and no dogs either because I like cats.
Well, thank you, Beth, for telling us a story. So next speaker would be Leanne, and the words for Leanne would be quarantine and tiger. Tell us a story using the word quarantine and tiger. Let's welcome Leanne to the stage.
Hello? Hello? You can hear me. Okay. So what was it? Quarantine and tiger. Is that right?
Yes.
Quarantine and tiger. Wow. I like dog and sandwich better. Well, quarantine is, fairly easy. That's what we've kind of all been doing for the past 10 weeks. And I guess I could say I have been quarantining with 2 tigers because I have 2 cats and they are the same species. It's one of those. But I do have a 1-year-old kitten who acts like a tiger because she's all over the place and she likes to jump out at me. So that has been because I've been working at home part of the time. And they have been great company. And if I could, I would love to share some pictures of them just laying next to my desk. They have each their spots next to my desk. So they've been keeping me such company and so entertained. And I don't have Louise up. I don't even know where Louise is. But I will be very sad to go back to work and leave my little tigers who I love so much and they love me so much too when quarantine is over. So there you go.
Great, Leanne. I knew that tiger would be hard. Do I have any volunteer for the next? How about our guests? Would you like to participate? No? Then going once, going
Hey, Unwoo, I'll
twice.
give it a shot.
Okay, great. Bakari, your words would be
Yeah.
coffee and moon. Tell us a story using coffee and moon.
Wow. How come they keep on getting harder? All right, let me see here. Well, I have good memories of coffee. Actually, this is growing up in a small town in Africa. It's called Moshi. The town is at the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro, and my grandmother had a coffee plantation. Not quite a coffee plantation, but it's more of a coffee garden, but it's of a good size. So I watched the coffee grow, and you'd see these nice red berries. And as a kid, I mean, you see everybody drinking coffee. And one of the mistakes that you make when you see those nice red berries, you associate them with being very sweet, but they're actually very bitter. So you go out there, you pick a few of them and you eat. And once you do that, you don't ever try them again. They're really bitter. I guess the best part of it is like after the coffee has been roasted, that's when you get to enjoy it. But I like to have my coffee with a lot of sugar in it. Now, the other thing is that, wow, after I drink the coffee, usually I have this effect for the caffeine. It affects me a lot. I don't sleep easy. If I have anything like caffeinated, it'll be after 5 o'clock. I'll be up most of the night. And that's where my connection with the coffee and the moon comes in. Because otherwise, if I don't take my afternoon naps or the coffee, I don't get the opportunity to see the moon. So having the cup of coffee, especially late in the day, allows me to be able to see the moon, also enjoy the stars, and enjoy some things that come in later in the day. So coffee tends to be a very good thing for me. And I tend to enjoy it and have a close association to it, since I know how to grow it, because most of our things, it comes from the stores, but I have seen it grow from the garden and all the way to the store. Thank you.
Now we would have one last question. No, one last words. Who wants to try? Give it a try. Okay, Andrew. I will welcome Andrew and give you the words rain and Toastmaster. Tell us a story about Toastmaster and rain.
Okay. All right, so the Toastmaster experience is one that I think that we should perhaps try to replicate one day in the rain. I think that this would be a really, really good learning experience to try to expand our horizons and try to grow, because it's probably not very easy to conduct a Toastmasters meeting in the rain, but you never know. You never know when you might be called upon to give a speech during a business meeting when it starts to rain. So I think it would be beneficial for all of us. Thanks.
Thank you. I think we have a little bit time for one more guess. Is it right, Christine?
Sure.
Okay, let's have one last thing. How about Wenfei? Would you like to try it? You can refuse if you don't want.
Yes, I will try.
Okay.
Please give me one easy one.
Great. Okay, then I will give you water and elevator. Tell us a story about water and elevator. Let's welcome Wenfei.
Okay, thank you. Using water and elevator. Well, for me, I think it's not a good choice to drink water in the elevator because when you bring your bottle of water, you should wait in, because sometimes the elevator will not very go smoothly. It will be like, I think one day I might like electric down, and then the elevator will be like one big movement, and then the water will be split out, and maybe spit out on my face and to wipe my clothes. So never drink water in the elevator. So thank you.
Great. Thank you all for the participants. You were very creative and brave. I would like to give a big thank you. And now I would like to give my control back to our Toastmaster of the evening, Christine.
Thank you. Raise your hand if you can hear me. Excellent. Okay. Andrew, your speech, the purpose of your speech was to use basic research methods for well-organized and well-researched and narrow in scope research information. You gave very good background information. This is a subject too that is very much on everyone's mind now that we're using Zoom and virtual meetings so much now. And I particularly liked when you discussed your room and what was amiss there and what the issues you had, such as having your computer in a certain section so you're kind of locked in. I did like the swing to your chair, because I remember your chair, and then swinging back. And you discussed lighting. And I know that that's been discussed before, and I have thought about that too. So that was good information that I think everyone could benefit from. So when you were discussing the lighting, you went for good tips for locating the information on the web. And that was good. And you actually showed us that. And you showed us a good way of accessing lists that could be beneficial to us, so that other people have done the work for you, and you could cross-reference the list. So that was a good insight also. It was a very applicable and interesting speech. Some improvement that I think would be beneficial to the speech, however, would be, and I'm not real tech savvy, obviously. So when you called up, you were talking about lighting, and then you went to webcams. And I thought, wait a second, how is webcams going to help me with lighting? Because to me, it seemed like they were two different things. So then I thought you went off on lighting, but indeed you did not. Because I got educated in knowing that the webcam can offer lighting. I thought, how cool is that? But I think perhaps if you had given a better transition into that, saying that you could solve or kill, I don't know if you should say it this way, but kill, how do they say, two birds with one stone? With the audio plus the lighting, that would have given me a better bridge into your next subject. So I think that's a good thing to add to that speech if you're going to redo that speech. Also, the ending. I think the ending could have been a little bit stronger because you had some good information there. There are some really good tips that you gave people. So I think if you had reiterated that, that would have been a better way to conclude. But all in all, it was concise, pithy. Oh, there you go, pithy, I used it. And it was narrow in scope. You hit all, excuse me, all the markers on your project description, and keep up the good work. Thank you, Andrew.
Hi, I just want to first make sure you can hear me. Clear? Okay, good, thank you. So I am evaluating Jodie, and Jodie did a dynamic leadership level 2 on communication style. And that project basically asked her to either talk about her own communication style or an impact of someone else's communication style has on her. And I would like to start by saying that in a bird's eye view from a bigger picture, it was an awesome speech. Very interesting, great topic, great content, and great structure. And it really helped my interest. And she talked about Julia Child and how she found her passion and how we don't have to follow the straight line or doing things a certain timeline. And before I continue to talk about all the wonderful things, because it was a really good speech, I just want to point out a couple of things. One is that based on the project description, I don't think that speech really matched what the description was asking her to do. However, as a speech and as the content for the speech, the interesting part of that speech, I think it's a wonderful delivery that she gave. And it was a great speech based on the speech alone, finding one's passion, but didn't quite capture the communication style or how it impacted her. So I'm going to continue to just talk about the speech based on the speech alone, but not necessarily following the project guideline. So back to the speech, like I said, it was a wonderful speech, really held our interest. I like how she stood up. I mean, I think in the virtual environment, it's wonderful when someone can stand up and deliver a speech, make it more animated. And she really showed comfort level. Having seen her give a speech before, it's always very exciting to see someone progress and become more and more comfortable on the stage. She seems very comfortable using gesture, great eye contact, was very fluid. Points that she wanted to touch upon, basically about how Julia Child found her passion with her background story and also how she never gave up. And then she went into detail based on the story that she learned from the movie and other places. So that piece was very connecting because I happen to have seen the movie. And then she concluded at the end, after all the details of how Julia Child finally found her passion, by reiterating the 2 points she was trying to point out. And she did that beautifully. So really, based on just the speech alone, I think she did wonderfully with great comfort, great content, great story, and great delivery. Even though it did not quite match the project description, I really enjoyed the speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adam, you're an inspiration. It's always an honor to sit back and listen to your speeches and have the opportunity to give you feedback. I love your speeches. You start by first giving us a background, and then you build upon a story. The other thing that I love about your speeches, they are organized and you have this timeline. You take us back to 2003, and I'm thinking, wow, 2003, at that far back, I mean, I didn't even hardly know very much about computer, leave alone being virtual and all that. But your topic to this current day, it's very, very important and it's very relevant. It says, ready to go virtual. And what I noticed listening through your speech, despite the conditions that we have right now in terms of the COVID-19, the pandemic, you'd think an athlete would slow down. But what you've done, you've taken the skills that you've acquired in terms of the using the computer, your own leadership skills, and your drive to keep on going. You haven't slowed down. I mean, here in a few days, you're going to actually be having a virtual athletic class. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but it's very interesting and enjoyable to listen. And it's an inspiration because we'd sit back and you see so many barriers around, but you've been able to use the technology and being able to go virtual to spread the message, to show your leadership skills, and to actually help others. So that's something that I see that when you get up to speak there, you bring a lot of value to what you speak. The other thing that I love about your speech, just looking at you, you're very comfortable at what you do. You sit down, you're patient, you're looking straight right at the camera. In fact, I think you do a much better job than I do. You look at right in front of the camera, you take your time and your words come out very, very well. So I'd encourage you to just keep on giving more speeches because you do a very good job. And just your demeanor and how you come across, you captivate people. And when people see that you're comfortable, you're delivering value, that's very, very good. So those are some of the things that I really enjoyed about your speech. And then also through your speech, I learned about your personal development in terms of your drive, your leadership skills. And as the time goes by, you've been able to improve on those. So that's actually a good thing. And on the same note, just keep on doing the same thing. You keep on getting better. And I also, listening to you, you have a heart of sharing. You want to share your skills. You want to share your drives. You want to share what you do. You want to share your experiences. And being that personal really gets people to connect with you. And that's a very, very good thing. So Adam, I really enjoyed your speech. And it's always an inspiration to listen to, and it's an honor to actually be able to give you feedback. And for me, it's a learning experience to you too. Thank you very much.
Smile. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. And if you don't hold on, I'll see you on June 18th.
See ya.